Me living here in Iowa, everybody's talking about Iowa, Nebraska. Obviously, me living here in Iowa, I have to hear about all the Hawkeye stuff. So, congratulations on making it to Sweet 16 since 1999. No one cares. Congratulations. This is literally the first time I've ever seen Iowa play in the Sweet 16 because obviously they made it in '99, and obviously I was born in '98, so I was alive, but I was about like 1 year old. So technically, I've never seen Iowa play in the Sweet 16. And neither of my buddies, who are also Hawkeye fans, have never seen Iowa play in the Sweet 16 ever in their lifetime. And now the good old question is: some Iowans are asking themselves, "Who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Nebraska or Iowa?" Because obviously, me being an Iowan, I should root for Iowa, right? Right? No, I'm not rooting for Iowa. Why the fuck would I root for Iowa? Fuck that. I'm rooting for Nebraska. Obviously, with the Nebraska side of things, because their head coach is Fred Hoiberg, former Ames mayor, not actually the mayor, but you get the point if you're an Iowa State fan or know college basketball. Obviously, he coached at Iowa State, played at Iowa State, all that other stuff. And obviously now, because obviously he left Iowa State to go to the Bulls, and then he came back to college to go coach Nebraska. And now we're in a situation where Nebraska and Iowa, and obviously Nebraska having this historic season, sort of, or not season, but it's a unique. What am I looking for? I guess it's actually a historic season for Nebraska basketball because obviously Nebraska basketball has actually never won an NCAA tournament in their first two in their history of basketball. And they beat Troy to get their first win, and they beat Vanderbilt, and that was a crazy game. And they were like one bounce away from losing that game, and we were potentially would have caught and got an Iowa versus Vanderbilt game, but instead we got Nebraska versus Iowa. And obviously, I am slightly rooting for Nebraska to win because, obviously, one, Fred, and two, I generally do not like Iowa. And I'm sure some of my Iowa friends are going to be asking themselves, Chant, why aren't you rooting for Iowa? You should be always rooting for Iowa. I'm like, no. I'm not rooting for Iowa. Why would I want my rivals to win a game to go to the Elite Eight? I don't want that. I want them to lose. I want them to lose as fast as possible. I want to get their hopes and dreams crushed by Nebraska and have Nebraska hold that against them for a while. And obviously we can talk about the whole football side of things and how Iowa's kind of kicked their ass in football, but that's neither here or there. I will say this is kind of a low-key underrated rivalry for Iowa, I will say. But yeah, like I said, I'm sure some of my friends were going to say, well, Chan, we're kind of rooting for Iowa State. No, you're not. No, you're not. I've already had discussions with some of our friends. Well, I already got one saying, oh, this would be so great if Iowa won and then Iowa State choked. They're like, fuck off. And I sent like a clip of the in Training Day where Denzel Washington's character went, all right, you motherfuckers. I can't remember the whole scene, but it's like basically like a King Kong ain't got nothing. You MFers are playing basketball and pound wine. I've never really seen that movie. I've only seen that clip a bunch of times on social media. So I don't really I kind of get the reference, but I don't really. So anyways, so yeah, obviously Nebraska is a 1.5 point favorite as of right now. That's what the betting lines are. And like I said, I am rooting for Nebraska, so go Big Red. And obviously I have some family members who are Nebraska fans. But I'm also mainly just rooting for Fred and also Iowa to lose so I don't have to see them play again to having success. So really the main story is okay. I'll say this real quick. If they happen to win and beat Nebraska, one, it's going to suck. But here's a spin zone for myself. If they happen to win, it just means that Ben McCollum could potentially get approached by Kansas or UNC. Be like, oh, UNC. Hey, Ben McCollum, you want to coach UNC? We would love to have you here. So that would be great if he got poached and just left Iowa to go to like one of these big-time programs by UNC or Kansas. But Kansas hasn't really made a decision. Bill Self hasn't really made a decision yet. There were some rumors yesterday that he made a decision, then he had to come out later saying, I haven't made any decision. So as much as I am rooting against Iowa to lose this game, there's a 1% chance of me just wanting the storyline of Ben McCollum potentially leaving Iowa to go to like UNC, because that would be hilarious. After 1 year in Iowa, decided to go off to a better program. And then people are going to say, oh, well, Chanler, he's not going to leave Iowa. He's born and raised in Iowa, but he was a Hawkeye fan, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. If you get an opportunity to coach UNC, he's going to go. He might go. He might go. I'm just saying. But again, that's just me being a hater and a troll and blah, 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 blah. It's very unlikely he's going to leave, but it'd be great if he did.